What's up, guys? It's John Dominique, the Soul Proponent. I want to follow up today on the last video that I made about the edge of truth. This is kind of like a piggyback or a tangent from that topic that I spoke about last time. Today, I want to talk about exhausting our exhaustion. Sounds kind of odd, I guess. It's not your usual way of thinking, but this is the kind of mindset that we have to have on the path to the soul. And when I say exhausting our exhaustion, so on the edge of truth, I said it's a very thin line, and it's razor sharp. On the path to the soul, it's about expiring ourselves, emptying our cup, divesting ourselves of our attachments, of our longings, of our desires, of our dreams, our hopes, our aspirations, our thoughts, the unconscious desire to survive. And we won't realize how many different things we're holding on to until we start to walk the path. And we have to exhaust every single one of those things that we're attached to. The desire for relationships, to be close to our mothers, our fathers, our family, relatives, husbands, wives, children. This is not an easy thing. Most people turn their backs on this because it's difficult and it doesn't seem like anything good will come out of it. It just seems like things will only get worse. So exhausting our exhaustion is about continuing to walk the path forever until we become foreverness itself. And it takes a tenacity, a drive, a determination to know the truth, to want the truth more than anything else, regardless of the consequences, and to keep going with this mentality. It's not like, oh, we can stop this at one point. It's not like, oh, I'm going to do this and then stop after I have spiritual awakening. It's not how it works. We have to commit ourselves fully to continue to exhaust ourselves forever, basically. The path never ends. Now, the emptiness that we face during this is a very huge barrier. Nobody wants to face the resulting emptiness, and that's the cost of exhausting our exhaustion. You're going to end up with nothing. There's going to be more nothingness than you can imagine and you can even believe. And we get to the point where multiple times this happens. There's nothing but emptiness and blackness, a black void. We have to keep exhausting ourselves into that emptiness, allowing ourselves to dissolve, to be purified, to clarify ourselves until the point we become one with that nothingness and that emptiness. At first, it's going to be alarming. It's going to be devastating. It's going to be tragic. There's a lot of tears, a lot of crying, a lot of unconscious resistance to the process. But if we keep exhausting ourselves and then exhausting our exhaustion to the point where we're erasing our boundaries, we're erasing our desires, our hopes, our grasping, our attachments, we keep doing that more and more. Like, you might not be able to last very long in that type of a state where there's emptiness, but if we keep exhausting our exhaustion, we're going to build the strength, build the fortitude, and build the resilience to allow ourselves to stay in that state. And this is, like I said, it's very uncomfortable. We have to be in a good place. You can't do this on the while you're driving down the freeway. So it's important that we're in a safe, comfortable environment as we're going through this awakening process, because it's real easy to get triggered and to go right back into our usual tendencies. So we have to exhaust ourselves, and to keep exhausting ourselves, and then to exhaust the exhaustion forever until we become forever. It sounds different. It's not a message that I hear anywhere, really. But this is my experience, and I'm pretty confident anyone who wants to find out for themselves can find out for themselves as well. And it's not only important, but it's like mandatory, because we're not healthy without knowing the truth and going through this process of spiritual awakening. We think in the long run that it's more healthy to avoid it, but I tell you it's the opposite. It's very counterintuitive and ironic, but trying to avoid the process of spiritual awakening, there's a pride, there's a narcissism, there's an arrogance about the ego identity. It's very tenacious. It doesn't give up very easily. It's going to keep coming back. It's never we never really fully defeat this enemy. But if we continue to exhaust ourselves and then exhaust the exhaustion, we'll make progress, and that's what counts. It's about making progress. It's not about trying to reach some sort of end goal or end state. It's like spiritual awakening is a side effect of the practice. It's not like we're doing it to get somewhere or to get something, because the truth is the spiritual awakening gets you. It's that type of attitude where when we exhaust our exhaustion and we become one with the nothingness and the emptiness, we see that we are that nothingness. We become one with it. Our consciousness and our awareness stretches. We have to stretch ourselves into that emptiness, into that blackness, into that void. And that's one other thing I want to kind of talk about, the conscious, to be aware of our awareness. To be aware of our awareness means that there's something bigger than our awareness. And that's kind of the muscle we're developing here when we exhaust our exhaustion, because we're going to the edge of our consciousness. We don't know what's there. We don't think we can go any further. There's nothing left. Why would we continue on? Well, we continue on in faith. And we continue on for the love of truth. And then we have to let go of that love of truth. So when we exhaust our exhaustion, that's part of the process. It's like, okay, I'm doing this because I love truth. Okay, then we have to be able to let go of the results. We have to let go of what we want to happen. We have to let go of our desires for God, our desire for truth. All of that has to go eventually. So when we exhaust our exhaustion, there's more emptiness, there's more blackness. But our consciousness becomes a little bit, what's the word I want to say? It kind of stretches and grows. It's a little bit malleable. And we get a little bit more, it's hard to describe this, but it's like you become spacious. And the more you exhaust your exhaustion, the more spacious you become. And you want to exhaust your exhaustion and keep doing that so that you become more aware of the emptiness. And you become the emptiness, you become the nothingness, you become the foreverness. Now, you just have to trust that if you continue to go, you have to trust that reality is going to take care of you. The universe is going to unfold according to its whatever is there for you, whatever the universe holds. I can't predict, I don't have all the answers here. I'm not claiming to have all the answers, so I can't predict what's going to happen in your experience, but this is the path. And if you want to try it for yourself, it's important, that we know that there's a way, and the way we find out the way is by finding out what's not the way. And what's not the way is trying to hang on and trying to resist and trying to avoid the process. And at first, that's what's going to happen. And we have to be aware and be careful that we're not going to beat ourselves up. We're not going to judge ourselves if we are resisting, because that's definitely going to happen no matter what. Especially when you begin the path. Most people are like, they're going to try it once or twice and they're going to be like, I never want to do this again. I want nothing to do with it. That's how it begins most of the times, because it's too scary. There's no way to hold that state. There's no support for it. But we exhaust our exhaustion, continue on this path. If you can step off the path to take a break. When you're ready, something will show you the way back, and you'll pick up where you left off, and you get even stronger, and you'll exhaust more of your exhaustion. We have to empty our pockets, empty our cups. All right, you can't serve two masters. There's only one master, and it's a hard pill to swallow, but this is the truth of the path. Exhausting our exhaustion is part of the path. It's like the dark night of the soul, like St. John of the Cross talked about. So my message today is that the edge of truth takes us to places that are unknown to our awareness. It's not the usual intellectual exercise that we think we can just think about. And so we think we can think our way through. We can think our way to avoid the process of spiritual awakening. You'll see that the mind will go furiously thinking, and that activity itself is part of the resistance, because it doesn't want anything to do with being. It wants to continuously without that thinking, it'll disappear, and nobody wants to disappear and feel like they're going to die. They're going to be erased out of existence. It's very deep, very scary. It's terrorizing. But this is the path, and there's a way to it. And if you know what to expect beforehand, it should make things easier, I would say. But you have to find out for yourself. And to do that, we have to continue to exhaust our exhaustion. We have to continue this path like there's nothing more important. All the time, it has to be our number one priority. And the more we do it, the better we get at it. And the more we let go, the more we're able to allow the resistance, if we do have resistance, allow that resistance to be there and just watch it until you become the watching. And then you become the watching, you become one with the spaciousness and the emptiness. And you exhaust yourself, and you just see that none of that really matters. Nothing was really, everything you're trying to hang on to doesn't have any substance really. What really matters is the holding. That matters is the environment. It matters is the space. What matters is the emptiness. That emptiness is infinite and eternal. And we're one with what's infinite and eternal. The fabric of our being, the fabric of our essence, our being, our presence. That's what we develop. We develop that truth. We become one with that truth. We are the truth. So my message is to exhaust your exhaustion, continue on this path until you're exhausted, and keep going until you're more exhausted, until your exhaustion is exhausted. John Dominique, that's all about it.